Hello and welcome back everybody, I'm Barbarian and this is Through the Darkest of Times. We are at the end of the third and second to last chapter. I do not know whether we can pull this off. We are, you know, looking at safe passage here. Oh, okay, no, okay, I'm not doing this then. I'm not assigning. So risky. I mean, we know why it is so risky, let's be honest here. Crystal. Arthur, show me your face here. I'm afraid that we would lose the truck. If we lose the truck and all of this is for naught, I cannot describe how disappointed I would be. So instead, we're not going to do this. Give me something. We're gonna spend all the money that we have, I guess. We're gonna try this. This sucks. Let me be the first one to tell you. This sucks, but let's try whatever we can try. I don't wanna use the truck and then it turns out if you use the truck like this, then you just lose it. I need the truck, and I mean, honestly, I assume that we would not lose the truck here, but it doesn't tell you. It just does not tell you, and that makes it so that I'm not very interested in it. Wait a minute, it's already super risky anyway, right? If I bring a club, does that strengthen my enforce action? I'm gonna bring the club. You know what, let's try this. It's already super risky. So my thinking here is that I don't actually know if the mechanics work like this, but my thinking is that if I bring the club and I meet someone that enforce gets the club item, and this makes it easier for us to enforce. Let's see whether that is true. Act. We're enforcing. The attack is over. And only Dorothea has been seen, meaning that Guido Book can actually go ahead and do the last necessary thing by virtue of doing it with Johanna. Johanna has been seen, that's fine. I think we're fine. Oh my god, can we actually do this? You just hide, dude, just... Failed, well. Wehrmacht conquers Vyazma and Bryansk. The Wehrmacht occupies the cities of Vyazma and Bryansk. 673,000 Soviet soldiers are taken prisoners of war by the Germans. German police units shoot thousands of hostages. In revenge for partisan activities, German police units shoot 9,300 hostages in former Yugoslavia. Bombs on Bremen. British aircraft drops 140 tons of bombs during an air raid in the Hanseatic city of Bremen. Dorothea Schmidt tells us about an old Jewish couple living in the same house with him. They received a deportation letter. They must leave Germany soon and they are desperate. They're Germans and have spent their whole lives here. Imagine leaving behind everything you know without knowing what is to come. What are they going to do? I've known them for ages, says Dorothea Schmidt. They're such sweet people and good neighbors. They don't deserve this. How will this all end? I just feel so powerless. Yeah. I understand that. Alright, this is last, and then it's this. We have 2 army uniforms. Oh no! Oh, that sucks so bad. Ah, crap. Did you do that? Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think we're actually going to be fine though. I'm gonna take the club, I'm gonna enforce no matter what, like actually no matter what. See, obviously, yeah, we don't want to use her there. Why don't we use all the money that we have, just make preparation a bit larger. I think preparation, I don't know. Honestly, I don't actually know circumstances there, but let's do this. Let us do this. Can't spread, well, I could spread leaflets, I guess, but that seems a bit risky. Let's just collect some money. Sure. Oh. You know what? Why don't you just go with them? It doesn't change anything, does it? Actually, you know what? Johanna, why don't you just sit down and do absolutely nothing? Let's see. We just gotta do this and then... I mean, it could still go wrong, of course, but let's just take a look at this, okay? Okay. Please, come on. It has been done, and Guido has been seen. That is perfectly fine. Wow. An actual race against time. Right. Jews must stay in the Reich. Heinrich Himmler, head of the German police, orders that Jews no longer be allowed to emigrate from Germany. Mass deportations of Jews begin. In Berlin, the mass deportation of Jews to labor and extermination camps in the conquered territory in the east begin. Again, the newspapers not actually being newspapers at this point, just informative snippets if you don't have the overview. And it is now in full work. The murder machinery of Nazi Germany, of the National Socialists, is now beginning to work. And I'm very interested in seeing how they depict this. Bad weather in Moscow. All operations of the Wehrmacht at Moscow are stopped due to bad weather and lack of preparation. We are now entering the worst times. Dorothea Schmidt looks flabbergasted as she enters the room. I have to tell you something, she says. My neighbors, a married couple, both party members. I had a decent relationship with them before, and I know for a fact that they couldn't have children. But then I saw them together yesterday with a small child. A little girl, about 4 years old, and she spoke Russian. What does that mean? Hold on. I asked them where they got her. They told me that they were her new parents, adopted from Russia. New parents! Do you understand? The Nazis are taking healthy children from their Russian families and sending them to Germany. They even gave her a new name. Helga. Every time I think the Nazis can't become any more inhuman, they still manage to surprise me. I can't believe it myself. The worst thing is that they don't even seem to understand what might be wrong with the situation. Dorothea shakes her head. See, it's exactly these things. It's not just... I mean, it is the Holocaust. It is the entire destruction that was created via these wars and because of the Nazis throughout Europe. Which just makes me shake my head when people say, oh, we should just forget about it. Let's just never talk about it. Let's just move on. Let's just, you know, as there was a German quote there, Vogelschiss. It is supposedly just a bird's, you know, defecation. It's not to be remembered in comparison to the big history that Germany has prior to it. It is an embarrassment and an arrogant statement to go ahead and act as though we could now, you know, now that 75 years have passed, say, oh, let's just forget about it. Remembering is not the same as shaming oneself. I think this has to be made clear to a lot of people that do not know the difference, apparently, and have this agenda of going around and saying, let's just skip over this because we've talked about it enough. Remembering atrocities that that changed the face of Europe is not guilting. It has nothing to do with it. It is remembering so that we learn from it. And it just, you know... This week-by-week thing that they do in this game is outstanding to teach that lesson. I would encourage everyone to play this game when it comes to this. There are some issues with it. You've seen the bugs. You've seen, you know, some of those story developments that were somewhat inaccurate. You know, for example, how in which order Austria and Czechoslovakia fell. But you know what I mean. This is about keeping memory of atrocities that literally overhauled the entire face of Europe. It changed it all. Forgetting about it, saying it's just a little Vogelschiss, it is your arrogance, your idiocy speaking there. Don't ever let yourself get caught up in that idiocy. And here we go. We are asked to bring a group of Jewish children to a meeting point at the coast and have them picked up by a ship. Alright, this is it. This is the last mission of this chapter. We arrive at the sign that says Jewish Municipal Orphanage. That must be Mark, says Johanna, pointing towards a man who quickly approaches us. His coat collar is raised and his hat pulled deep into his face. Good, you're here. Now that he's standing right in front of me, I recognize Mark, our contact from the Jewish orphanage. He holds his head down with both hands to prevent it from being blown away in the ice-cold wind. Quite the weather tonight, he says. Here we are. What's next? You can come out now, children, says Mark. The helpers have arrived. 6 children. I would guess from 5 to 14 years old step on the street. They're carrying bags and backpacks, some of which look far too big for them. Hello children, I am Guido, and these are Johanna and Arthur. We'll take you safely to your destination. The children jump onto the back of the truck. As we are about to rearrange the crates to hide the children, the eldest girl, who Mark introduces as Sarah, says, I have a question. Sure. It's just, could you give us a bucket, please? Somebody probably getting ill on the truck. Yes, if one of us has to... Oh, okay. You know, especially Noah. She points at a little boy sucking his thumb. Needs to go quite often. And I guess we won't be able to stop along the way. Yeah. Mark disappears. After a couple of minutes, he comes back with a bucket and hands it to Zara. We push the crates into place and pull down the tarpaulin. Thank you so much for doing this, says Mark. Thank you, really. I would not have known what to do without your help. My source in the ministry told me that they plan to make Berlin Jew-free by the end of the year. Children and old people are the first to be deported, so this is the last chance we have to get them out. I get it, I say. But sending these children on such a long and dangerous trip alone, trust me, if there had been any other way, I would have taken it. But I need to stay here, so I can get more of them out. And they aren't alone. Zara is with them, and that girl is tough, believe me. It's getting late. You'd better leave now. Jana takes the driver's seat. Arthur climbs into the middle, and I sit on the passenger's seat. Jana starts the engine, and we start driving through the night. We drive the truck through the night, leaving the sleeping Berlin behind us, heading north. When will we arrive? Johanna looks at her. Yeah, the game really thinks Johanna is a he, and the game just actually has it like straight wrong. Not before sunrise. Go get some sleep, I will wake you. I close my eyes. The calm and steady sound of the engines make me sleepy. Soon enough, I'm dreaming. We arrive at a tiny checkpoint. A soldier stands in the middle of the road. He holds up his hand and signals for us to stop. There's a second soldier standing near a makeshift building they have set up to create the checkpoint. Jana stops the truck and lowers the window. She says to the approaching soldiers, of course, I mean, they would make... There were no women serving in the German army. Obviously, it's nonsensical that we would have a woman here, but the game thinks Johanna is a man. Hitler says the soldier, show me your papers, please. Give the papers to Johanna and stay back. Hide 80%. Johanna takes the papers from me and hands them to the guard. Everything alright, he asks. The guard checks her papers slowly and thoroughly. What's in the back? I'm afraid that's below your pay grade, soldier. The guard turns and says to the second soldier, check what's in the back. If you do this, you will have to report to your superior. I will not do this, soldier. I'm an officer. You better follow my orders or you will be in trouble. Our load is secret. Leave it alone and let us pass. The guard looks once more into the driver's cab. Then he nods and signals to his comrade to open the barrier. We continue our journey through the night. That was very close. When we finally reach the point indicated on the map, it's dawn already. Behind the dunes you can see the sea. A small boat is bobbing in the water. This must be it. Thank you, says Sarah when I open the tarpaulin and move away the crates so they can jump out. She takes Noah by the hand and they carefully move down to the boat in the dark. Arthur is waiting there and helps them with their luggage. Once they're all on board, the boat departs. Where are they going? You know where they're taking them? Sweden. Someone is taking them in there. I'm glad we could help them, says Johanna. There's so many, at least we could help them, I guess. The sun is starting to rise in the east. We shall never forget the heroes of this war as well. The people that liberated all of those that were suppressed, the people that, at the risk of their own skin, of their own lives, rescued as many as they could. Imagine actually advocating for forgetting about this. It is lunacy. It all has to remember. The heroes, the monsters, well, as close as a human can be to a monster anyway, all of it has to be remembered. Or else we actually just don't remember how we came to be. We meet and pick the children up at night and hide them behind crates in our Wehrmacht truck. Benjamin Frankfurter will speak about our actions with members of his community. Rabbi. Got some achievements as well. Then we drive through the night. We manage to pass a Wehrmacht checkpoint and bring the children to a meeting point at the coast of the North Sea. They enter the boat waiting there and leave for Sweden. Everybody has been seen. I'm about to leave the house when I run into Hildegard. Have you heard? What? They took the Gutmanns. Our street is free of Jews now. Finally. I wonder why it took them so long. It took the Gutmanns, I ask. Yeah, we weren't able to take them. Well, hide them. This morning, the Gestapo came and took them away. It looked like they knew it was coming. They had suitcases packed and everything. Do you know where they brought them? I heard they brought the Jews to the synagogue in Moabit. You want to Levitsov Street. You think Hermann and I can move into their apartment now, or is it already reserved for someone? The Gutmann's apartment is bigger. Hermann would love to have his own room. He's at an age now where he doesn't want to sleep in the same room with his mother anymore. Is this all you care about right now? Are you worried about them? Don't be. They will be resettled in the East where they belong. Every race should live where they naturally belong. It's all part of the Führer's great plan. Imagine being an overseer in a concentration camp and deluding yourself like that. But there were many deluded people. Because delusion is easier than accepting reality, you know? Cognitive dissonance. You always tell yourself something that sounds nice, even if it makes no sense. There's no point in arguing with Hildegard. I remember that Hannah told me at the cinema about the Wehrmacht and the SS murdering thousands of civilians in the East. Without saying goodbye, I leave Hildegard standing there and take the metro to Moabit. Once there, I walk to Levitsov Street as fast as I can. When I reach the synagogue, there are 2 trucks parked in front of it. A group of men wearing SS uniforms are standing at the entrance. What is happening here? None of your business. Go away or I'll arrest you. He rests his hand on the gun on his belt. The guards step aside as a crowd of people begins to exit the synagogue. The SS officers shouting at them to get into the back of the trucks. It seems to be only elderly and children, each of them carrying a suitcase or a bag. The trucks are crammed with people already, but the soldiers are still forcing more to get in. Once no one is exiting the building anymore, the trucks leave. With the trucks gone, I can look through the open door of the synagogue. It is crammed with people. There must be hundreds of people. Many of them look like they have spent the night in there. Looks like it's finally happening, says a man in a blue coat standing next to me. What's going on? The big resettlement, the exodus, the great cleansing. Looks like the days of disorder and Rassenschande in Berlin are finally over. The Jews are going where they belong. Where do they belong? Nowhere, he smiles. Ah, look, he holds out his hand. The rain has stopped, he says and walks away. Something is happening at the synagogue. The SS men step aside again. I stay where I am and observe what's going on at the synagogue. People are streaming out of the building onto the street, guarded by soldiers and SS officers, yelling commands at them. They're lining up. People stop to look at the scene as the police try to keep them at a distance. Find a policeman standing at the offside and ask him, where are they taking? What's going on here? They're making the Jews walk to Grunewald to catch their train. They're making them walk to Grunewald, I say? So, what do you care? I see one of the SS officers coming towards us. More and more people stream out of the synagogue, filling the street. It's hard to imagine that until now they had all been inside that one building. Look out for the Gutmanns, but don't recognize anyone in the crowd. Maybe if I could get closer, but the SS guards are aggressively pushing bystanders away. Then the prisoners start moving down the street. Look for an opportunity to approach the prisoners. And choose a spot on the route that's as far away from the SS guards as possible and wait for the prisoners to pass by. The crowd is huge. Men, women, children. Everyone is carrying a piece of luggage. I'm close to giving up as I finally see Louis, Paula and their son Elias Gutmann's familiar faces. Louis recognizes me. He comes over and speaks so quietly that I can barely hear him. What the hell are you doing here? I wanted to see if I can help you. And, can you? Sorry, says Louis. Thank you for coming here. I appreciate it. As you can see, we're fine. We just walk into a train which will bring us to our new homes. Where are they taking you? East. They said there are places for us to live there. Just don't want us here anymore. But don't worry, we are going to be fine. The Gutmanns have always managed to find a way. Suddenly he starts tearing up. Tears are running down his cheeks. Is there anything I can do? It's just... Elias, why isn't it enough to take us? Why do they want to take our children too? What did they ever do to them? Why can't they just kill me and spare my boy? I take a step back from the prisoners. For a moment I can still see Louis before he disappears in the crowd. There's no such thing as new homes in the East. I know it. Louis knew it, and the SS guard who threatened to send me on that train knew it too. I will never see Louis, Paula and Elias again. Fuck. Man. Fucking hell. In October 1941, the regime began to deport thousands of Jews to the east and killing them there. Despite these crimes, and although it quickly became apparent that Germany would no longer be able to win the war, most Germans still supported Hitler and his regime, enabling them to continue their war of annihilation. Your leadership is strong and stable, and your group has recruited and retained enough supporters that it can persist during the darkest of times. My God.
Like the Gutmanns, thousands of Jews were deported to the east. Trains departed daily. We didn't know for sure what happened to them, but the rumors we heard were terrible. Little did we know that the truth was so much worse. After a series of German victories, the Allies began to fight back. German cities were regularly attacked and destroyed by Allied bombers. In the winter of 1942, the Wehrmacht lost more than 300,000 soldiers at Stalingrad. The majority were killed, not just by bullets, but by cold and hunger too. The rest were captured. Many of us thought that the war was now over. But it wasn't over. Even though the Wehrmacht had been on retreat for 2 full years, the regime had not given up. On the contrary, the weaker they were, the more aggressive and ruthless they became.
Survive is the objective for the Chapter 4 collapse. December 1944. Right, the 5th year of the war, and Germany is losing. Our cities lie in ruins, the Wehrmacht is in retreat, but the regime has not yet been defeated. Weakened, it is now more aggressive than ever, and rumors of unspeakable atrocities reach us from the east. We lost most of our supporters, many died in combat or gave up. But we won't stop resisting. We mustn't. One final push and the horrors will be over. That's what we hope, at least. I think these are cigarettes over here. Is this Welt? See, I don't actually know Hülse. I don't know the brand, if it is one. And then this over here is essentially a draft letter to the Volkssturm. 1944 December. So we're talking about Operation Overlord has happened. The Allies are in France. They are waiting at the Ardennes as the German counteroffensive through the Ardennes costs thousands of lives. Italy has almost entirely fallen. Soviet Union. I'm not entirely sure whether the Soviet Union is already past Warsaw or before it. Warsaw, of course, the resistance in the ghetto. A terrible story because the Soviets just waited it out. They had no intent to save anyone. I mean, that was not Soviet policy to begin with. Let's see if we can survive the last months of the war. Churchill supports Soviets. British Prime Minister supports the Soviet People Republic's territorial claims against Poland. Yeah, with the meeting of Yalta, they, came together, and Churchill said that to destroy the Nazis is worth, and Churchill, of course, also a declared anti-communist and a declared anti-Soviet, but he said to destroy them, we can't change reality. We cannot go on with the war against the Soviets in any capacity whatsoever. And this is, now that I think about it, this is also past the events around Stauffenberg. But yeah, the territorial claims, the dictatorship that the Soviet Union would establish throughout Eastern Europe in Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, of course, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, Poland, and all, of the Soviet Union's own territory, the Baltics, that were taken prior to the war between the Soviet Union and Germany. Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, and all the other parts of the constituent republics of the Soviet Union. All of those were to suffer 40 more years of dictatorship, of brutal purges, and of a difficult future. New military award, the Warsaw Shield. Hitler plans to award soldiers who fought in the Warsaw Uprising. Okay, so this is past the Warsaw Uprising. But he awards them for killing civilians that wanted to live. Yeah, that sounds about right. Battle of the Bulge begins. German troops starting a massive counteroffensive at the Western Front. All five of us are here. I find this difficult to ask, but I need to help out. I need the help of the group, says Johanna Esser. Of course. We have run out of coal. Our apartment is freezing cold. My entire family is sick. I need coal or money to buy some. Wait, so we have coal loads? I'll give you 10 or 50 marks, I guess. Which one is better here? I have no idea. I'm gonna give you money then. Thank you so much, says Johanna. Alright. We're all still here. A very colorful troop of resistance fighters. Communist, Social Democrat, Christians. Berlin. I think we only have one goal here. At least one goal that is obvious to us now. An ordinary man. The rabbi can give us some support. Benjamin Frankfurter. I actually, you know what, let me just look something up here. I doubt it, but I do want to know. No, there's no one that historically is known for that name as a resistance rabbi, for example. By paper, meet a friend, contact a social democrat, contact a priest, of course. I mean, we have to do all of these. They open up all of the opportunities. I feel like I want to go with propaganda here, right? We actually have a pretty good propaganda, and he's real bad at secrecy stuff, so secrecy really does not do well for him. We're gonna go with propaganda. Maybe he can print some stuff, you know, that sort of stuff. Ordinary man. Rumors have it, the war criminal and murderer Ludwig Meyerfeld is currently in Berlin and planning his escape. We must stop him. Ludwig Meyerfeld. Let me actually... Is that a real person? I don't think it is. I can't find anything. I've never heard of him. I believe this is essentially just a symbol for all those people that took part in the atrocities and then either fled the country and, you know, got elsewhere, or that simply began working in the West German federal administration. You know, something that people always find so easy to wish away is that, of course, you know, after 1945, you can say a new era for the Germans and whatnot, but most of it was infected by National Socialist ideology in every single way. Testimony, huh? And what I mean by that is that, for example, Konrad Adenauer, and I've brought this up in the past, that he said, you know, I can't throw out the dirty water if I don't have any clean one. He knew that people were exactly who they were. The BND, the German Secret Service, made up of Nazis, because they were, you know, had a reputation to be good to fight the Soviets. And I mean, they were, I suppose, but made up of Nazis. Our university stacked with people that were National Socialists, that served as the big minds behind National Socialism. One of the many exceptions of this, or one of the few exceptions, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things, the denazification, don't make a mistake, was not as thorough as people like to believe. But what it comes down to for me is that most of the intellectuals that brought forth Nazi ideology in whatever science they could, and science here, and this just includes, because this is how we use it in German, just includes any Wissenschaft, so anything that is taught at a university and researched in a university. But all of those researchers, all of those theorists, they were kept in place. This is why it is so important that we honor and that we are proud of, that we are thankful for the people in 1968 and the entire 60s that stood up and said, we have to get rid of this old elite. It is oftentimes misunderstood that, you know, oh, a new chapter begins, we shouldn't talk about the old one. No, we should talk about the old one, because the connection is quite clear. It is incredibly clear, in fact. And it took the Federal Republic of Germany a long time, to get to a situation where we can say that we can be proud of what we have created after the war, because for the longest time, you know, I mean, we had a Chancellor, Georg Kiesinger, a Nazi. It's a disgrace. It's without a doubt a disgrace, but we should never forget, much like we should never forget this time, we should never forget all the people that passed 1945, and even here, in this case, you know, trying to get the people to actually pay for the crimes that they committed. But we shall never forget the people that made it so that we are now in a new era. In a new era of the Republic, of Europe, of Germany, of the world, I suppose. Because if we just say, you know, let's just forget about all of this, and it's something that just irks me, because it's something that isn't that often in, like, the public conversation, but it irks me because it's clearly the way of the coward. There's an agenda hidden behind saying, let's just not talk about this anymore. And I just really want to say, if we were to forget this time, if we were to no longer talk about it because, oh, it's just guilting people, if you say, no. It's actually a moment of pride to say that eventually we were able to overcome those generations, to overcome those people that did this. For me personally, it is a moment of pride that I can contribute to a new society, to a new world, where we got rid of those people. By ousting them, by making it clear that you can't teach at a university if you are a dedicated Nazi, all that sort of stuff. I am thankful for the people that did it, and I hope that one day I can fill their shoes. That's really you know, it's a long tangent, I know, but the YouTube name is obviously One Proud Bavarian. And I am proud. I'm proud to be Bavarian, I'm proud to be German, I'm proud to be European, all of those things. But it is something that I think many people, and no, actually not many people, that some people misunderstood as a dog whistle. You know, where they were like, haha, here I can be a beautiful extremist, right-wingers, am I right, guys? That's never what my name meant to me, and I think that it's important to say we can be proud of things that have nothing to do with war, the Nazis, all those things. I am proud of growing up in a society that has overcome this, that has fought back against it, that has slowly but surely purged it out of its system, and it's still there, but it's a changed society, and I'm proud of this. It's a bit of a weird explanation, especially in the face of the atrocities that we are witnessing here in the game, but I think it is important to take a look at the positive sides that have developed since then. If we forget the negatives, we cannot honor the positives in any way whatsoever. The new friendships that were created between the peoples of Europe. It's something that we shall never forget because everything is connected to it. Everything is connected to this period, good or bad. Alright, let's get back from the tangents. Meet some friends. Can do that. I think he's good for this, yep. 20 rounds, as per usual. We don't actually have any other... We have a lot of Social Democrats. Primarily Social Democrat, I suppose. Actually, I think you should be here. I think somebody else can do this one. Yeah, it should be fine. He'll be fine. He should go to the church, of course. That is his area of expertise, you could say. What is Johanna gonna do? Sure. We have still one army uniform. We have a fake passport. We have Mark, we have supplies, and we have coals. Okay. Let's move on here. God, I can't even tell you. In the 2 years that I've done YouTube for, I haven't had too many that like were too open about their racism once they thought that my name was a dog whistle, but I've had them. Makes it easy to ban them, you know? Makes it very easy. Alright. He has been seen, that sucks. Has not been seen. One being seen is fine, especially because she did have a low chance there. Give us free access to a factory-owned industrial area. Yo, that is huge. And of course, we want to use everything now in this chapter. It's the last chapter. Coastal Kleiner meets with a friend in Spandau. Very nice. Okay, so far so good. It's December 24th, 1944. Despite the fact that the world has been turned into a hellscape, it is still Christmas Eve. My neighbor Anne Manholt has asked me to join them for Christmas at their place. I'll bring something to eat, sure. I decide to bring the pound of wrinkly apples I snagged at the black market. The Manholts have had a tough year. Volker Manholt was killed in Stalingrad, leaving his wife and 2 kids behind. I knock at the door and Mrs. Manholt opens. A book. Come in. Mr. and Mrs. Obst are living in the living room. I still need a moment in the kitchen. Give her the apples. I hand her the apples. It's not much, but I brought you this. Thank you. This is perfect. The Obsts, a friendly older couple who lives on the first floor, are already there, while Elspeth, the Manholt's daughter, decorates the tree. Merry Christmas to all of you too, I say. The Christmas tree is a short, skinny thing that's more brown than green and looks like it will collapse any moment under the weight of the decoration and candles Elspeth has hung. Let's hope there won't be any air raid sirens tonight, says Mr. Obst. Sure there won't. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present you the roast meat a la Anne. He enters and puts a steaming dish on the table. Elspeth stops decorating and takes a seat at the table. This looks and smells delicious, thank you. Baked roast meat made from cabbage, porridge, and thin slices of sausage. Those are the meaty bits, says Anna. I hope you will enjoy it. I learned that the couple used to be humanities professors at the university, but both had been convinced to retire earlier than we had hoped, as Mrs. Obst puts it. After dinner, Elspeth sings Christmas carols before she opens her presents. I have one for Klaus, says Elspeth. Will you open it for him, Mama? I realize for the first time that Elspeth's older brother isn't here. Where's your brother? He's a hero now. He's fighting the Bolsheviks, says Elspeth. Shut up, says her mother. Isn't he too young? How old is he? 16. That's the new recruitment age. He received a brief training and was then immediately shipped off to Poland. Oh, sorry. Criminals, says Mrs. Obst. Bloody criminals, sending children to fight a lost war. Will you be quiet now, Waltraud? You don't know what you're saying. You'll get us all arrested, says Mr. Obst. They should be careful. Don't die in the last months of this. You're not wrong, but your husband has a point. You should be careful what you say to people these days, I say. Oh, come on. We're all friends here, are we not? Says Mrs. Obst. Let's stay a little longer. Now on to dessert and drinks, says Mrs. Manholt, and returns from the kitchen with a cake. There's a knock at the door. Who is that? Are you expecting anyone, I ask? No, Elspeth, can you open the door, please? 3 men enter the room. They are wearing Wehrmacht uniforms, and the silver chains around their necks signal that they are with the military police, Kettenhunde, chain dogs as they call them. Are you Anne Manholt, mother of Klaus Manholt? Yes, that's me. Is Klaus here, or do you know where he is? His 2 companions walk through the room and poke around every corner. Did he desert? Did Klaus see the difference between his ideology and reality? Remember, Klaus was the one that was so nasty, that was so indoctrinated as a child that he fully believed that the murder of the Jews would be righteous. Good. But I think seeing death, what it entailed, seeing what his father saw, you know? Maybe it changed something, maybe it didn't change something, who knows, let's take a look. Klaus is fighting at the front, says Anna. No, he is not. That's why we are here. Are there any more rooms? One of his companions steps to the table. Who are you people? Neighbors. Show me your papers. Where's your husband, Mrs. Manholt? He died at Stalingrad. I try to hand the officer my passport, but he doesn't take it. Instead, he looks at me and says, why are you not at the front? Why are we not at the front? Sick leave, I guess. I hand him my sick leave form, which one of our supporters keeps regularly updated for me. I see how it is. He takes the document. It does the trick with the normal police, but will it work with the military? I wait quietly for him to finish looking it over. Fine. Now, your passport. The soldier checks my passport and hands it back to me. When he is done, he points at the candles on the Christmas tree and says, blow out these candles. It's because of the light. Yeah, it's probably because they don't want to be hit by bombing, I suppose. But why? Christmas lighting is banned this year, to greater danger of attracting enemy planes, but we closed the curtains. They can't be seen from the outside. Shush, Elspeth. It's also a waste of critical resources. Blow them out or we have to fine you. It's fine. He blows out the candles and takes them off the tree. Room is empty, says the officer who had searched the other room. If your son contacts you, you must inform us immediately. Hiding or assisting a deserter will be punished severely. He salutes. Oh, and Merry Christmas. Nothing is sacred to these people, not even Christmas Eve, I say. Barbarians, says Mrs. Obst. It won't ruin our Christmas, says Anna. Let's have cake. We're not going to talk about the fact that her son isn't on the front line. We don't dare to put the candles back on the tree, but we light one candle on the table and eat the cake Anna made from porridge and margarine. Margarine? I mean, what's the English pronunciation here? Margarine. What a bunch of pigs, says Mrs. Obst, breaking the silence. Intruding into the homes of good people, chasing children, prohibiting Christmas lights. Oh Germany, what has become of you? I have no idea where he is, says Anna. I can only hope he is safe. Wherever he is, says Mrs. Obst, he is safer there than at the front right now. All I have heard is that it's a bloodbath. Waltraud, says Mr. Obst. What? It's true, is it not? thank Anna and Elspeth and say goodnight to the Obst before I go back to my apartment. In my dreams, children dressed as soldiers fight at the front and dogs attack Christmas trees. There's a knock at the door. Hey, book, open up please, it's Anna. Mrs. Manholt is wearing a nightgown. A boy in a Wehrmacht uniform stands beside her. It's Klaus, her son who is supposed to be fighting in the front right now. Can you help him? Please. He can't stay with us. They will look there first. You know, he grew up knowing nothing other than the propaganda of the regime. Knowing nothing but the hierarchy that told him what is right and what is wrong, and he admired his father, of course, that served. I think he is one of the people that deserve a second chance. That deserve to move forward. And learn from their mistakes. What a shame. What a time. Come in, Klaus. We must help the Manos to save their son. And you go back to your daughter. I will take care of him. Okay. Ethiopia becomes independent. Great Britain recognizes Ethiopia's full sovereignty by signing the Anglo-Ethiopian Agreement. Successful resistance. Danish resistance fighters destroy German factory and bombing Cologne. British planes bomb railway system in Cologne. Dorothea Schmidt shares her idea with us. I'm working in a hospital now, so I have the opportunity to provide us with medicine. What do you think? What do we do with that medicine? I have no idea. The game hasn't told me yet, and I haven't played this, so I wouldn't know. A good chance we should use it. Is this who we have become? People who steal medicine from other people? Who desperately need it? From children and the elderly, says Gostelkleiner. They are Nazi soldiers, says Dorothea, who were drafted, whether they wanted it or not. I mean, at this stage, definitely, people just got drafted. It was completely irrelevant whether you were, you know, a Nazi or not. I don't know, let's not steal them. It's, you know, nobody has enough. It's mainly Nazis who get these medications. I can't see anything immoral about stealing from them, but if you tell me not to, I won't. Even though it means that next time one of us is injured, we won't have any medicine to help. Oh, right, it's just normal medicine. No, we don't. I don't think. We can now contact the Red Army via radio. Would give us intel. I need a testimony. I still don't know how we get a testimony. We're definitely gonna hide Klaus away. We're gonna do our best to make that happen. Attack on Volkssturm squad. Might be boys and old men, but they are still a threat. We have to deal with them. Bring injured to sickbay. Ambush a supply delivery. Still have a bunch of supplies. Free prisoners. One of the infamous prisoners might even risk freeing some of the prisoners there. Michael Katz and Angelika Klemperer. People that voted us, I assume. Right, buildings. We're going to take a long look at this. I'm going to take a long look off camera, and then we're going to return to it in the next episode. We are in the last chapter, the end game of this campaign and of this game and of this war, of course, and I want to thank the members of the channel that are making videos like this one possible, namely the Barons Aaron, Stefan, the Richest T, Snywolf, Emma Mamello, Thomas, and Lachlan, as well as the Counts Kirmelik 2, Shifty, Ixum, and Wombat, and last but not least the Dukes, Suspicious Duck, Benedict, Nathan, Knight of Squires, Kenneth, Lexo, Roboman, My Dad Left Me at Arby's, and Eric and Aiden. Let's see where this leads us to. Let's see what we can do here. I think there's only one last mission, unless they will add one later that we don't know about yet. Either way, thank you so much for tuning in, and later, alligator.